Recording, right? And of course, I don't have my water. I'm already 10 steps behind. Living my best life, you guys. Come on, thing, start recording. I don't have time to talk if you're not going to actually record. There we go. All right, we are recording. So, welcome everybody. If you are joining us in the Facebook group, like my apologies for it looking like a clusterfuck to get started with, but that's just kind of the life I live, and you guys are familiar with that. So, we got a holiday weekend coming up here. We're going to have plenty of them throughout the summer, right? There's always an event going on. We had Mother's Day this month. We had Cinco de Mayo. We now have Memorial Day weekend. You're going to have Father's Day celebrations, summer weekend kickoff, Pride, beer festivals, 4th of July, Labor Day weekend. Like there is an inundation of events coming at you. So let's talk about how to like stay on track and not feel like you're starting from square one, because I know that's one of the biggest things that gets everybody down is it's like, hey, we hit up this holiday weekend. We've been making all the success. Like maybe you've been on point and losing weight or losing inches and just crushing your goals for weeks or months even. And then all of a sudden a weekend rolls around where things are a little bit lackadaisical. We're having a good time. We're enjoying our lives. And then we beat ourselves up because it feels like we are starting over. All of a sudden we've gained back 5 to 10 pounds over the course of a weekend. Like, how is that possible? Well, it's not, right? Like, I can promise you, if that happens to you next week on Tuesday, you didn't gain 5 to 10 pounds of fat. You might have gained a little bit, to be quite honest, right? It is certainly possible if you eat in enough excess to put on a little bit of body fat, but most likely it's just going to be some bloat that you put on. So let's talk all about like how to navigate the weekend so you don't have to have that icky feeling. Yes, you're still probably going to feel a little bit come Tuesday morning just because you're going to be having things that you likely don't indulge in on a regular basis, and that's okay, right? But we got to learn how to make it something we can incorporate into our lives, because as I just listed off all of those holidays that are coming up in the next 3 months, they're not going anywhere, right? Like we're going to keep having them, God willing. Shout out 2020, 2021, 2022. Hopefully we do get to have fun with all of those experiences this year. So how can we navigate it? How can we set ourselves up for success? Well, it starts very simple with all the things that hopefully you're already doing. And if you're not, I suggest you start doing these things before you do something drastic. A lot of times, what's happened this month for people is, wow, it started getting a little bit warmer. Like it's hot out. We're getting to wear a little bit less clothes. And likely, if you haven't been working on your goals since January, December, February, whatever, if you're already feeling like, holy crap, I just went and like tried to put on my summer clothes because it's already hot out and they are not loving me. Like they are not fitting me as well as I thought they fit last summer or 2 summers ago. Maybe you didn't do anything last summer either. But so think about that, right? If we're putting on clothes that we don't feel good in and we're like, oh, I just want to lose like 5 to 10 pounds, it becomes really easy to look at doing one of those crash diets, right? Like, oh, I'll hop on Octavia. My friend's doing that. Yeah, it's like $450 a month, but like the pounds are melting off of her. But what is she doing? She's doing things you probably don't want to be doing this weekend for Memorial Day weekend. She's doing what their bullshit is of like eating these fake foods, having these shakes that are replacing all their meals. They get like one meal a day and literally they are eating less than 1,000 calories a day and paying someone $450 a month in order to do that. So my challenge to you is find something else that sounds a little bit more sustainable so you're not crash dieting for these events. And again, if you haven't already started that, let's start now and let's use this weekend as a great opportunity to practice those strategies for the rest of the summer when you're going to continue to have these social engagements. So first things first, let's talk about like, what do I need to do with movement this weekend? So if you're not already following some sort of a step counting protocol, I would suggest starting there. So typically recommend minimum 7 to 10,000 steps per day. And that can just be on average, right? So maybe some days are higher, some days are lower, but I really would love for you to be hitting that minimum 7K steps per day. And the best way to do it this weekend, if that's what you're aiming for, is to do it first thing in the morning, right? I know somebody on this call already, I can identify, who has started getting up earlier in the mornings. That's my mom. She's been getting up earlier in the mornings to get in her workout or to get in her steps, because she was coming home from work at the end of the day and still being like, oh crap, I got like 6,000 steps left to get, or oh, I still need to get in my workout. And you tend to just dread it all day, right? And if you're going to be out partying and having a good time this weekend, guess what you're not going to do when 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 o'clock at night rolls around? You're not going to go get in a workout or a treadmill walk. It's just not going to happen, right? So front load your day with getting as many steps as you can, maybe hitting that minimum, right? Go get 7,000 steps, go get in a walk or a hike, go out and do something active before it gets too hot out and before the day's gotten away from you. So I always like to tell people something like that is great to start your day with too, because once you start the day with making one healthy choice like that, it tends to sort of somersault into other choices that just, hey, now I want to drink some water. Now I want to eat a breakfast that makes me feel good. Like I worked out and I didn't earn food, but it feels good to like fill myself with some nutrients that because I lost calories while I was doing that workout, right? So get in the movement first thing. And if it's just a step goal, it's just a step goal. Maybe you don't work out on the weekends typically. Great. Don't do it if you don't want to. But if you normally work out on the weekends, try to hit that workout. And if for some reason maybe you now have the opportunity to work out because it's a holiday, great. Go get it in if you have time for it. But don't beat yourself up in a workout, and don't think that you're going to use the workout or the steps for that matter as ways to burn off said calories, right? We don't exercise to earn food. We don't exercise to burn off calories. We exercise because it's going to keep us strong for years to come, because it feels good, right? And an object at rest tends to stay at rest. So like, let's get moving. So maybe we can move throughout the rest of the day. And again, not that calorie burning is the goal, but you're going to burn more calories if you get off your ass and move all day. So make it happen. So again, first thing in the morning, if you can get in that movement, do it. And if you can do it outside to get that early morning sun exposure, even better, right? Because that's going to give you much more positive outlook on the day if you can get that sunshine. I know last weekend sucked for most of us because it was like snowing and disgusting. So like live your best life and go get that beautiful sunshine this weekend when it's available. Okay. So get in your early morning movement. Next, water. Super basic, super easy, super simple. Let's crush at least half your body weight in ounces throughout the day. Okay. So again, another thing that I would recommend front loading, because the day is going to get away from you, right? You're going to be out on a boat, or you're going to be out at the lake, or you're going to be at a party, whatever it is. So start the day by chugging some water. So let's say, for instance, you're 150 pounds. We want to try to get at least 75 ounces. So how cool would it be if you could just slam 20 ounces first thing in the morning when you get out of bed? Get up, go to the bathroom, weigh yourself in if that's what you do, whatever, and then just go grab that bottle of water out of the fridge and start pounding 20 ounces, and you're already more than a quarter of the way there. And then try to just keep doing that once an hour. And let's say it's already just 4 hours into the day and you've already crushed 80 ounces. That's a pretty big deal. And if you can't do it every hour, guess what? If you even did it every other hour, you would still be on track, right? So like 10 ounces per hour throughout the entire day, I don't think is too much to ask for. So when it comes to that, also making sure that if you're having adult beverages, great, have a glass of water in between every single one of them, or even better yet, use water as like a mixer with your alcohol. I, for one, am a huge fan of just having like vodka with water, and then I'll maybe put in a little bit of Crystal Light, the squeeze kind, or the strawberry kind that is powdered and it has caffeine in it. So that helps when I need caffeine. But yeah, water is your friend. Make sure you're utilizing it to help you to flush out all the excess crap that we're having, right? Because we're likely going to be having an abundance of processed foods, excess sodium, excess carbs, excess fat. So just allow that water to hydrate you, because here's the thing. If you're not drinking enough water, you're going to look even more bloated. You're going to look and feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just like lethargic and everything just feels like, that feeling, right? So more water, it tends to be that people think it's going to make them more bloated. Well, it flushes the bloat out. So crush that water. Okay. Next up, we're talking about front loading the day. We're front loading it with steps and or a workout. We're front loading it with water. You also want to be front loading it with one like nutrient dense quality meal at least. So yes, you're probably going to an event in the afternoon and in the evening. Great. Normally we want to have like an 80-20 rule with our food, right? Like 80% nutrient dense, high quality foods, and then maybe like 20% wiggle room, which is why you guys will see me having things like my ice cream that I'm going to demolish tonight. That's why you'll see me having s'more cereal and Oreos in my crack bowls every night, because most of my food, like I'm eating 2000 calories a day. Most of my food, at least like 1800 calories of it, is all nutrient dense, high quality foods, proteins, plants, oats, and stuff like that. And then I get to have a little bit of wiggle room. But on a weekend like this or an event like this, it's probably going to be a little bit more opposite, right? We might be happy if we can get like 20% nutrient dense, and then 80% of our day's calories are more the fun foods, the alcohol, the chips and dips and snacks and stuff like that. So, okay, if that's probably what's going to happen, front load your day with like a normal, satiating breakfast that checks some boxes. Protein and plants, that's where you want to start. So, whether it's cooking up like a big old scramble or some omelets, or even just having some oatmeal with some fruit and egg whites or a protein shake or whatever it looks like, make sure you're identifying that protein, that plant, and making sure that meal is satisfying and helps you stay full, so that by the time you do go to those events, you're not ravenous. And so that leads to another point that a lot of people think they're going to go into these days like, oh, I'll just like starve myself all day and I'll save all of my calories for the event. Not a good strategy, because you guys know that this happens, right? You tell yourself you're not going to eat all day, you're going to save those calories. And what happens? You're eating everything in sight, even if it's not something that normally you would want to have. And I know this happens to you guys too, when you come home from work after a long day and you again like forgot to eat or didn't have time to eat or anything, and now you're like, I don't have time to put together a meal. So then you tend to just go through the fridge, go through the cabinets, and whatever's in front of you is what you're putting in your mouth, because you didn't have a plan for success and because you're starving. Like your body truly wants to eat calories, and it doesn't care if it's good or bad, quote unquote calories, good or quote unquote good or bad calories. It just cares about getting some energy back into your system. So again, we're front loading the day with steps, with water, with at least one great nutrient dense meal to get your day started. And then from there on, things are probably going to taper off into getting a little bit more responsible when it comes to food choices. And that's okay. At least you started the day strong. And guess what? It's going to be great for you to start the next day strong as well. Again, even if you have like the rest of the day eating like an a-hole, everything in sight, drinking all things, front load that day with healthy choices and make sure you're on track to front load the next day with some healthy choices as well. Okay. So then if we're diving into meal choices, let's add in a protein source with all of our meals. So even if you're going to that barbecue or something, don't go in there and just be like, oh yeah, I'll just have the snacks and the chips and the dips. And it feels like we're not having much, because those things that we're snacking on, they're very much carb and fat, uh, very much high in carbs and fats, as opposed to protein, which is going to help us stay fuller for longer. So when you're munching on those things, you're having excessive calories because your body just doesn't register that it's as full, because carbs and fats just aren't as satiating as protein sources are. So when you're going to the barbecue, when you're at the lake, make sure you can identify, hey, do I have something that's at least like a palm sized serving of protein to have in that meal? And that right there is a really good place to start. And if you can have more than that, do it. So what are some of those high protein options that you might be having? Things like burgers, right? So if there's any way for you to control what that burger is, I recommend trying to find something at least 88-12. So I buy the 88% ground beef at Costco, or typically for myself, I'll usually have 93.7 or 96.4. So if you're able to be the person who is providing the barbecue or something, say it's at your house, this is something that I do for me. I might serve the 88-12 to my guests because they're not really as health conscious as me. But then for me, I'm going to have my own burger patties that I'm doing for myself that are the leaner beef options. So you can do something like that. You can do chicken sausages. I love the like mozzarella artichoke ones from Costco. Those things are freaking money. Yeah, they are a great protein source, but there is a decent amount of fat in there. But if you have a couple of those, it's still, I think, like 320 calories because I want to say that each one is about 160, but that's still a great option. And then you don't need like a bun or anything with those things because they are just fine on their own. There's no need for extra condiments or a bun or anything. Um, Other options, maybe grilling up some chicken skewers, kebabs with shrimp or chicken or steak or whatever, but just some really good protein sources that you know you can have. And if you're going into a situation where you're like, well, shit, I don't know what they're going to have, and like I don't feel comfortable bringing my own protein option, bring yourself just a protein shake. This is what I did last night when I went to the hockey game, right? Like I accidentally, this never happens to me, but I accidentally had a really busy day where like I just didn't have time to eat most of my meals. So by the time it turned that we were leaving for the hockey game, I had like 750, no, I had 900 calories left in my day, which never happens, you guys. You know, I like to eat all day. But so I took a protein shake. I just grabbed one of the Fairlife shakes out of the fridge and I drank that on our way down to the light rail so that I could make sure I had some protein so that when I got to the event, I wasn't just wanting to go with everything in sight, right? Because that protein shake helped to give me a little bit more satiety and I could make a much more mindful decision, which PS, if you want to know what I had some delicious street tacos and they were great, right? So it wasn't having a bunch of like greasy fries and the pretzel and the corn dogs. It was like, hey, corn tortillas, some beef, some pork. Awesome. Like this is really great for me. And again, I didn't feel the need to overdo it because I had made sure I got a good protein source leading up to the event. Okay, so whenever you can, have that protein source. And if you're hosting the event, you're in even more control over your food choices. And if you're going to the event, well, can you be the person who brings a healthier dish, right? So something that you know, if all else fails, if everybody else brings a bunch of crap that I don't want to be eating, that's going to make me feel like crap. Like, can I bring the person who brings a delicious fruit salad or an awesome veggie tray? Or can you bring some sort of a protein source? Like, think about something that sounds really good that's going to be appealing to you when you know your options are limited. So, again, like control whatever you're able to in that scenario, whether it's at your home or somebody else's home. Okay. And then when it comes to things like alcoholic beverages, I kind of already touched upon this, but choosing those lower calorie beverages, which oftentimes it's the mixers that can really F people up, right? So when you're having things like margaritas or even you're having just like a really high calorie beer, those beers add up, those margaritas, they add up. So again, I'm personally a huge fan of vodka water with some lemon or some Crystal Light sprinkled in there. I also really like to do Moscow Mules. Like this is my jam, you guys. Moscow Mules. I'll bring my mugs, even if I'm going to someone else's house. I bring my little lime juice squeezer thing that, of course, you just get over in the fruit section. I'll put in my vodka. If you want to do a delicious flavored vodka, even better. And then I use diet ginger beer. Why? 0 calories. That's why. So it tastes really great. I get to be in control of it. There's nothing that screams summer to me, honestly, like some Moscow Mules and an awesome copper mug. And again, the only calories in there are going to be from the vodka. And vodka is one of those lighter calorie alcoholic beverages. If you're someone who likes the seltzers, great, go with that. And if you want to even cut back on calories, I think I talked about this on another live, or maybe it was with my clients, but you can take like a hard seltzer, a White Claw, or a Truly, or whatever it is, get a glass of ice, pour half of that in there, and then the other half add in just some sparkling water, right? Like a flavored sparkling water. So if you're having like a berry flavored seltzer, add in some like strawberry flavored bubbly or Waterloo or whatever your drink of choice is when it comes to sparkling water. And that way the alcohol is going to go further, right? It's going to slow you down a bit. You're also adding in some better water because yes, sparkling water can count towards your water intake. And you still get to be like hanging out with everybody and having a good time. And hopefully nobody's questioning that. And guess what? If people are questioning that, if people are giving you a hard time because you're like not getting shit faced with them, they're probably a bunch of assholes you shouldn't be hanging out with anyways. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Like find new friends, find better people to hang out with. I know that there are social pressures with drinking. I totally get that, but they don't care about what you're putting in your body. And if they do, they're deflecting, right? Like you are the only one that needs to care about what you're putting in your body. And at the end of the day, what I really want to challenge you to do with this weekend is like go into it thinking about, how do I want to feel after the weekend? Like, do I want to feel like I'm starting over on Tuesday morning? Do I want to feel like I've lost progress? And do I just want to feel like ass, right? Because you know that you do when you allow yourself to have like all of the things. So go into it the plan, decide, hey, like how many drinks do I think is reasonable for me? Like what can I commit to? Is it 5 drinks? Is it 10 drinks? Like whatever it is, just stick to whatever that plan is for you. I'm gonna say 10 is a little excessive, but whatever. But go into it with a plan and something that you feel comfortable with, right? And then when it comes to like food choices, like I said, as long as the start of your day starts off really well, you're already further ahead of the game than most. And then if you can make those better choices throughout the day, amazing. Sounds great. But like also just recognize when you're going into eating those foods, like does this food make me feel good? Or do I need to have an entire like big ass dish of it? Or can I just have like a spoonful? Right. So something that I've heard from other coaches and whatnot is like referred to as intermittent sampling, where we're having a little bit of everything. We're just not having all of everything, right? So like maybe you want to try all these different desserts. Great, like share them with somebody or like cut it into portions. I am the queen of that. I don't care where I'm going. Like if there's a dessert or something, I'm typically cutting it into a smaller slice, right? Because I don't need an entire one. For instance, I went and bought my grandmother a carrot cake for her birthday on Sunday, and I just bought it at the grocery store, whatever, and cut it into slices. And guess what? I cut one of the slices into like quarters instead of halves because they were just too big. Like I just wanted to taste it. And honestly, it was a store-bought cake. It wasn't like anything amazing that somebody made from scratch. So I was like, hey, I just want to try it, but I don't need an entire big ass slice of it. So again, intermittent sampling, have a little bit of all the things you want. Just maybe decide, do I really need to go back for seconds on anything? Or go into it being like, I can have whatever I want, but everything I want, I'm going to fit on one plate, or even 2 plates is probably something pretty good for most people. Because again, most people are just going to go and like snack on stuff. Can you have that parameter of like, everything I want to eat has to fit on this plate, and I'm going to have this plate one time, or I have this plate 2 times, but I'm going to tell myself I'm not just going to like munch over at the like buffet or whatever it is. So that's kind of what I got for you guys tonight. I want to open it up for any like questions anybody has or comments or anything. And then I would love to know if you would like me to drop this like survival guide thing that I'm sort of creating right now that's going to go along with all this. My goal is to finish it by the end of today. Hopefully I can drop it here in the group tomorrow. And so, like I said, if you're interested in it, let me know. But feel free to unmute yourself if you have anything to say off of all of my stuff. I'll stop talking. I hear you. What do you got, Mom?
Just wondering, I've had people ask me about different drinks, not drinking, but like your coffee and your teas and all that. Does that all count towards your water? I always just count my water as my water.
Yeah, that's a great question. So technically, yes, it still counts, right? So I tell people, if you're having coffee or whatever, that can totally count. If you're going and buying a coffee at Starbucks that is like a latte or something, that doesn't count, right? Because it's made with milk, it's not made with water. But if you're at home and you're making coffee, that's still technically water. If you're having tea, it's water. If you're having iced tea that like you're making yourself, even, I know one of the girls on our team, she's been doing iced tea a lot, and she's been loving it because it's been helping her get her water going. I think that's great, because she's not going and getting like the high calorie tea or whatever, but it does make it really beneficial to get in the tea when you yourself are making it at home with water. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, all those things that like actually contain water, they still do count towards your water goal.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And did you have something?
Yeah, I just really appreciate the practical suggestions, front loading your day. I mean, just because you're going out at noon or night doesn't mean you have to take the whole day off.
Yes, exactly. And that's the crazy thing. It's like all of a sudden people think, oh, it's a holiday. Like I'm just going to have every meal. I'm going to have all the things that I want to have and go crazy. And then they just really feel like crap afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that, girl. All right, Jen, what do you got? doesn't want you to talk. What's happening?
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
So I love getting up in the morning and starting out my day like a good jog or walk. Or right now, I'm not at my house, so I've been continuing to de-stress to run the stairs that is by the place that I'm house sitting and dog sitting. And just to start my day like that, I have a totally different view for that day. And then, like you had already said, definitely drinking that water is amazing, and getting those steps in is great. But starting off in the day now that it's or early in the day now that it's hot midday has been amazing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, isn't it crazy? Like even this morning, so typically I go to bed at 10, I get up at 6, like it's been great, and I'll even wake up before 6. But last night, of course, we were up a little bit later with the game, and so I ended up just going to bed by 10:30. I was like, cool, I'm gonna set my alarm for 6:30. And so then I had to force myself to like get off the couch and go do my run at 7 because I'm like, I have 5 miles today. It's just gonna get hotter. But I was kind of confused almost because it's been much cooler the past week, right? So I had to talk myself into it, and I was out there for that run from like 7:15 to 8 o'clock. And I'm like, dear God, I'm so glad I didn't wait until 9 after my meeting for work because it's too hot, right? So first thing in the morning, you get those endorphins, you get the sunshine, it just sets the tone for the day, and you don't have to be miserable in the heat. So really great point, Jen. I love that. Yeah, I know
And
you're
please,
definitely an early morning worker outer, so that doesn't surprise me at all.
and please send out the sheet. It's just so helpful to have those little
Okay,
reminders of what to carry on through.
Yes. Okay. So I got one person that says they want it. That's all I need. That means I'm going to do it, you guys. I'll finish it. All right, cool. Anybody else have anything? You guys feeling good? All right. Ooh, what do you got there, Alyssa?
Just a quick question.
What's up,
So I'm gonna in a interesting scenario this weekend. I'm gonna be out of the house like pretty much the whole day over in San Francisco,
Cool.
Sightseeing and whatever. Do you have any tips for like healthy snacks that don't need to be refrigerated? Because I'm gonna have to, throw a bunch of snacks and stuff in, my backpack.
Yeah.
Throughout the day that doesn't need to be refrigerated or isn't gonna like get gross after a while, or smushed. So I was just wondering if you had any because what I usually gravitate towards is like crackers and stuff, super carb heavy, but yeah, that's my
Let's
question.
have something better, right? So I love this question. So I would suggest even the things that I do for myself when I'm flying would be really great for you. So if you are somebody who does like the ready to drink protein shakes, like the Fairlife or the Premier Protein or whatever it is, my suggestion would be to freeze those. Okay, so that's what I do when I fly. Because go through security. If as long as they're frozen, they don't care, right? So I would say get 1 to 2 of those, freeze them so that they serve as ice packs, and that as they start to melt, you might need them later on. But even if you just do like 1 frozen and then 1 that's maybe not frozen that you decide you actually want to drink and not like wait on it to freeze, great. And then this is when I would take things like I did my little veggie packs today, where I do a serving of snap peas, a serving of carrots, a serving of grape tomatoes, and a serving of diced bell peppers. And like those things I even traveled with last week. We drove a 4-hour plus road trip, and we didn't have any of it refrigerated. We just had it in my like cooler backpack. No ice packs, no ice, nothing. We just let the food itself be cool. And if I was smart, I would have frozen some Fairlife packs, but I wasn't. So like, again, those things, those veggies and stuff are not going to go bad, and you can choose to do whatever you want. Right. And I think carrots are a great replacement for crackers because you're still getting that like crunchy fix. Yeah. And then, slicing up an apple, slicing up some oranges, because you don't want to have like for me, I'm terrible. I don't want an orange because I don't want to peel it. I don't want an apple because I don't want to chew off the core. Like I need everything sliced because I'm a high maintenance bitch. So having that kind of stuff. I wouldn't suggest things like dried fruit because it's like a crap ton of calories for very little, and it doesn't fill you up. So, if you're a fan of jerky, that's great because it doesn't
jerky.
refrigerated.
Forgot about that.
the tuna
Okay.
packets like that you can buy that are like little 90-calorie tuna packets if you're into tuna. I know one of my clients, it's like not her jam, but she found chicken packets that are essentially the same thing next to the tuna at the grocery store. And then like if you can take like a sandwich or something, I love myself a little like just sandwich thin with some deli turkey and maybe a Laughing Cow cheese wedge or something. But even a PB&J is probably better than some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, and I
That's a
almost
good
forgot
idea.
those little like Go Squeeze, like they're for kids. They're like an applesauce.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I like to fly with too, because you'll get a little fiber kick and they're just good to snack on essentially, and just as fruits and veggies. So
Yeah.
really
I actually, my niece and nephew are coming to visit, so they actually will like those too. So
there you go. See, it works for
Yeah.
everybody. They'll think of it as a fun treat and you won't
Right.
be famished.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Of course. Does anybody else have any like snack ideas they can think of that I'm just like completely brain farting on? No? Okay. Great. Cool. Well, I want to take up everybody's night, but as always, I'm pretty sure all of you know how to get a hold of me. Like I said, my goal is to finish off that little guide tonight, and I will drop it in the Facebook group for you guys to be able to download if you want to just check it out. Like it's literally just going to have like my little checklist and then some like tips and maybe some options for things like snacks or drinks or whatever. But and I'll explain the why, right? Like, because you're like, okay, why do I need to get my steps? Why do I need to drink water? Like, just do it. But I want to explain the why always, so it's not just like do what I say. I want you to know why you're doing it. So, all right, ladies.
Okay. This is a little late, but one other. Yeah, I couldn't unmute. One of the things I'd add to snacks is like almonds, because they're such a good source of protein.
For sure, for sure. I mean, almonds can be great. That's why I like to, if I'm going to have them, gonna like put them out in little snack bags or buy the individual pack ones. I know usually at the grocery store they'll have like 100-calorie packs of them or something. And yeah, it's definitely more of a satiating like fat for sure, but you are going to get a little bit of protein in there too, so that's a good option. And again, if you get like a flavored one, like I love the cocoa ones, but the thing is I could eat like 20 servings of those cocoa almonds in one serving. So again, serving size is everything. Portion them out or just buy the already individual size packs. So, all right. Thanks for the reminder, Anne. I think everybody's good. I appreciate each and every one of you being here, and I hope you have an amazing and safe holiday weekend. Please be safe. Please have a great time, and let me know how else I can support you guys. All right. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Crystal.
Anytime.
Okay, you have a great one too.
You as well. Yes.